Everyone, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how to draft a bustier pattern with yoke and also a back bodice with a trendy neckline. This is going to be a beginner friendly class. If these are all the things you want to learn, please keep on watching. So this line will be our starting line and also the shoulder line. So I'm going to measure 8 inches on the shoulder line. This 8 inches is my shoulder divided by 2. My shoulder measurement is 16 inches and I'll be using a neck width of 3.5 inches. Then I'll place my tape from my shoulder and mark my bust point, my under bust point, my half length, then my sewing allowance. So in order to achieve a straight line, I'll place my tape under my 8 inches shoulder width and I'll mark the bust point, which is 10 inches, the under bust is 13.5, the waist is 16, then 1 inch for sewing allowance. After that, I'll draw a straight line across to mark my measurement. Once that is done, the next thing I'll do is to impute my dart line. I'll use my bust span measurement, which is also known as nipple to nipple measurement. I'll divide it by 2. The measurement is 8 inches divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I'll mark it on all the lines. Then I'll connect it with a straight line from the bust line down to the sewing allowance. Before I continue, I'll label all the lines so there will be no confusion as I continue the pattern drafting. So the first line is the bust, the second is the under bust, the third is the half length, and the last line is for sewing allowance. So the next thing I'll do now is to take my round neckline. The neck depth will be 3 inches. Then I'll connect from my neck width down to my neck depth to create my round neckline. The next thing I'll do now, I'll place my tape under my shoulder line and I'll come down by 1 inch. Then I'll connect from that 1 inch to my neck width to create my shoulder slope. Once that is done, I'll place my tape on that shoulder slant to impute my armhole depth. I'll use my shoulder divided by 2, which will give me 8 inches. You can use the standard measurement, which is your bust divided by 6 plus 1.5 inch. Once that is done, I'll connect from the shoulder slope down to the armhole depth. Then I'll draw a straight line under the armhole depth. The line under the armhole depth now will serve as the chest line. Once that is done, I'll place my tape on the shoulder line and look for the midpoint, which will give me 2.25. I'll mark the 2.25 and connect the 2.25 to the dart line. Once that is done, I'll create my armhole curve. I'll place my tape on the shoulder line and look for the midpoint, which will be 4 inches. Then I'll go to my chest line and divide my bust by 4 and impute the measurement. And on that midpoint of my armhole, I will go in by 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect from the shoulder to that 0.5 inch, from that 0.5 inch down to my chest line measurement. Once that is done, I will tighten my under bust and also create my bust curve. I will take a dart allowance of 1.5 inch on the side front and 0.5 inch on the center front. Then I'll draw a straight line to connect the measurement from the under bust down to the sewing allowance on both sides of the dart line. After that, I will come to my bust line and come down by 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect from that 0.5 inch to the dart line. I'll place my curve rule and just connect it the way I am doing it. I just hope you understand what I'm doing. If you have any question, please feel free to drop it in the comment section. The next thing I'll do now is to create my over bust dart. In order to do that, I'll go up by 1.5 inch from the chest line and draw a straight line across. Once I'm done with that, I'll place my tape and take 0.5 inch on each side of the dart line. Then I'll come to the bust line and come up by 0.5 inch. Then I'll connect from that 0.5 inch to the 0.5 inch on both sides of the dart line this way. Please, if you are watching to this point and you've not subscribed, please subscribe and click the notification bell to get notified whenever I upload new videos. The next thing I'll do now is to impute my round bodice measurement. The bust is 9 inches, then the under bust is 7.5. Then I'll replace the dart allowance I took of 2 inches. Then on my chest line, I'll add 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. Please remember the measurement I use for the bust, under bust and waist is my actual measurement divided by 4. So on my half length, I will impute my waist measurement, which will be 8.25. Then I will impute the 2 inches for that allowance and also add my sewing allowance on the under bust, the half length. On my armhole, I will take that I took for the over bust and I'll replace it. That I took of 1 inch, I'll replace it on the armhole so that our armhole will not be short. Then I'll connect all my measurements. Once I'm done with that, I'll blend in my dart leg into my armhole, just the way I'm doing it. Once that is done, on the over bust line, I'll come down by 1 inch and connect the dart leg towards the center front to that 1 inch, creating a sweetheart neckline. After that, I'll use a curve rule to blend in the darts in order to create my yoke. So the upper part of this pattern will be our yoke, then the down part will be our bustier. So the next thing I'll do now is to cut. I'll cut it out so that you see what it looks like.
Ice in my veins, I've been driving this train. Years in this lane, there's no stopping this flame. Cause I came to the game and I changed it to play how I like.
And this is it. The next thing I'll do now is to draft out the back bodies with a stylish neckline. So I'll mark the starting line, which will also serve as the shoulder line. I'll then place my tape from my shoulder to get my bodice measurement, my shoulder to my bust, my shoulder to my waist, and also sewing allowance. Once that is done, I'll place my tape on the shoulder line and I'll mark 1.5 inch. I'll mark it down and draw a straight line that will serve as my zipper allowance. So any measurement now I'm going to impute now will be from the zipper allowance. I'm going to draw a straight line across those measurements from the zipper allowance. So I'm just going to mark the measurements now on that line. So I'll label my lines now. The first line is the bust, the second is the half length, and the last line is for sewing allowance. The next thing I'll do now is to take my shoulder measurement. I'm going to take the measurement from that zipper allowance. So the shoulder is 16 divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. Then I'll also take the neck width. I'll use the neck width of 3.5 inches. I'll come to the shoulder line and I'll come down by 1 inch. Then I'll connect from that 1 inch to the neck width to create my shoulder slant. For this back neck depth, I'll use a back neck depth of 2 inches. Then I'll connect from that 2 inches to my neck width, creating a round neckline. Continue with the neckline, I'll take my armhole depth, which is 8 inches. Once that is done, I'll draw a straight line across on that 8 inches. That will serve as my chest line. After that, I'll connect the shoulder slope to the chest line to create my armhole depth. Once that is done, I'll place my tape on that line and I'll look for the midpoint. Then I'll come to the chest line and place my tape across to get the chest line measurement, which is the bust divided by 4. Then I'll connect from that midpoint of the armhole to the chest line. For back bodies, you don't go in by 0.5 inch. The next thing I'll do now is to take my dart. I'll place my tape on my bust line and take 4 inches for my dart and my half length. Then I'll connect it with a straight line. After that, I'll place my tape on my half length and I'll take 0.5 inch on each side of the line. Then I'll connect it straight to the bust line. Since this is a back bodice, I will increase the dart to the chest line. After that, I will impute my round bodice measurement. The bust is 9 inches. Then I'll come to the waist. I'll impute the round bodice measurement. That is the waist divided by 4. Then I'll replace the 1 inch allowance I took for the dart on the waistline. Then I will add sewing allowance to the chest line and also the waistline. So I'm adding 1.5 inch sewing allowance on all the lines. Then I'll connect it. Once that is done, I'll create my round neckline. I'll go up at the round neckline and come down by 1 inch. Sorry, I didn't know that part was not showing. So the next thing I'll do now, I will go in by 2.5 inch. Then I will connect from that 1 inch. down to the 2.5 inch, creating a keyhole. So this is it, guys. The next thing I'm going to do now is to cut. If you want a yoke, you can just cut from this chest line out and you get your yoke. So I'm just going to cut it now so that you see what it looks like. If you notice, when I'm cutting, I didn't cut the zipper allowance from the keyhole side, because sometimes when you are done sewing and you want to put your pressing button, you realize that the cloth is short. So I'm just going to leave it. You do it that way. Once you are done and there is need for you to cut it out, you can cut it out by then. This is the final result of our work, and I hope you love what you've learned. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and drop your thoughts in the comment section and subscribe. See you in my next video.